up, guys? Welcome to an episode of Booze and Books, or Books and Booze. I'm not sure what I'm going to title it just yet. This is a new thing, but I'm going to be, in each episode, I'm going to be talking about a different classic book and pairing a booze with it and just kind of giving my thoughts to it. And feel free to comment in the section below. Maybe you really like the book, maybe you hate it, maybe it's something you read in high school and you really despise it. But dog's bouncing around. I think she got in the coffee. I don't know what's going on, but she's losing her mind. But anyways, for this episode, I'll be getting into Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. Again, this is one of those probably books that you had to read in high school. I didn't read it in high school, but I've gotten around to it now, and I have this very nice. I love going to like the old bookstores and just getting like the old books. This is just like my favorite thing. I love the smell. This is not a first edition, but it is a Book of the Month Club. I always like these blue Book of the Month Club books that they printed back in like the 50s. But anyways, and the booze that I'm going to be pairing with it is Flying Fish Oktober Fish. It's right around Oktoberfest, and you got a skeleton of the fish. I figured, well, that's just absolutely perfect for this thing. So I'm going to crack this open while I'm doing all that. And most of the books I'm going to be trying to be focusing on are, there's a link, I'll put it down below, of basically the top, just 100 books by American authors that you kind of should read. And I've been trying to go through all those, and we'll just kind of get through it. And if there's a book that you think I should check out, like a classic or something, let me know. There's just so many new stuff that, whatever. Do not tell me a Patterson book. Don't tell me those, because that guy doesn't even write his own books anymore. But anyways, to The Old Man and the Sea. This is a perfect high school book because it's short as hell. For me, that was the only way I would really get into the high school books is, okay, if this book's like 120 pages, I can do it. I still didn't do it for this one, but like one of the books I really got into in high school, probably the one that I remember the most, was Of Mice and Men, and that book was like 80 pages. I mean, I don't even know if you can really consider it a novel. But this is the very first Ernest Hemingway story I've ever read before. I know a lot of people, there's a very strong opinion with Ernest Hemingway. I know a lot of people that said they absolutely despise him. They just don't like him. They don't like the way that he writes. Everything is super, it's a downer. But that's one thing I've discovered. To be a great American author, everyone has to die at the end. It has to be super depressing. I mean, side note, one of my favorite authors is John Steinbeck. And I know a lot of people that hate him. That's because everything's super downer. Like, if somebody's not dying or committing suicide, they're, giving an old man their, dried up boob because their baby died in a barn at the end of the book. It's just, not very uplifting. But, I'm gonna get this sip of this beer. Kind of just a nutty brown ale. Tastes like. But, so yes, anyways, Old Man and the Sea. For some reason, I've noticed a lot of, classes or whatever, they like to really analyze this book. They really, what does the fish represent? What does the old man represent? What does the child represent? What is, the great fish getting eaten by all the sharks and him showing back up with, FYI, spoilers, I will be getting into the end. What is the him showing back up with just the carcass of the great fish? What does that represent? Everything people wanted to make stuff representative in this book. And there's a Hemingway quote. He basically he said, "No, that's BS. Nothing represents anything. It's just an old dude going fishing. That's the story. Stop trying to put meaning into stuff that there's no meaning in." And I feel like there's a lot of books like that where it's like, dude, it's just, you're over-analyzing, you're overlooking some of this stuff. But I mean, I feel like sometimes I feel like I can kind of think like the old dude. He's fishing, he's out in the water, there's nothing, can't see land, there's no other boats anymore. And he's almost just mind's going everywhere, thinking about baseball games and how he wished the boy was there so that they can, he could give him water and all this other stuff. I feel like sometimes like I think we all do that. Like you'll be driving, you don't got the music on, and even if the music is on, your head starts kind of going all over the place. It's like when you're driving home and then suddenly you're home and you're like, I just left work. How did I get here? When did that happen? So, in some ways, I feel like we all kind of relate to the old guy in certain ways. Going after that, just going after that thing that makes you happy, and you just don't quite get it sometimes. But I thought, and I think it actually would have made the book better. Don't tell Hemingway. But I thought the old dude. He keeps on he's falling asleep at the end. He's so exhausted. The great fish is just getting eaten up. The sharks are just tearing him apart. And so he's going to get back to the land, and there's not going to be anything left, and it's all going to be like blah. I thought it would have been better if basically, so the fish is eating whatever, it's a down or whatever, and he wakes up from his bed of newspaper. He wakes up. And so you start thinking, is it a dream? And some of the other people around town already think he's kind of crazy. So he starts talking, he's like, it couldn't have been a dream, it's too real. Everybody thinks he's crazy, whatever. And then one day, he goes back out to his boat to go fishing another day, and you just have a little bit of the bones coming out of the sand. And then he just sees the bones coming out of the sand. And that's it. Done. So he's not crazy, he did it, but it puts the doubt in everybody else that he is crazy. But at the end, it's almost uplifting in a certain odd sense. Didn't get the fish, but everyone knows it's not crazy, and he put in some serious effort. I'm just saying, I think my version's better. But anyways, those are my thoughts on Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. What do you think of the book? Have you read it? Did you read it in high school? Did you whatever? What do you think about Hemingway in general? He's got a very dry, it's very dry. It's almost, I don't even know how to exactly explain how. It's not overly complicated the way he writes. I find when you talk about the greatest American authors, period, you're going to say Hemingway, you're probably going to say Steinbeck, and we just took those two. Very different. Steinbeck is everything's meaning. There's always meaning behind everything. He wrote an entire chapter in Grapes of Wrath about, an animal crossing the road. So, very different. So, I'm just curious, what do you guys think of Hemingway? Do you like him? Do you like the way he writes? Or is it kind of no thank you? Not my thing. But, and if you do like Hemingway, what other books do you like? I do have a couple other Hemingway books that we'll get into a little later. But, so yeah, those are my thoughts on The Old Man and the Sea. Send them back to me what you think. And so I guess I can throw out my 2 cents on Flying Fish, Oktoberfish. It is, it's not very Oktoberfest. It's a little heavier. I think when you want an Oktoberfest beer, you want a little lighter because you're going to be drinking a yard of it. This is 6% alcohol, so it's a little higher. But also, if you have suggestions, again, this is one of my first 2 of these little book review beer things. So early stages, it'll evolve. But yeah, so that is my little spiel on the book for now. And so subscribe, check it out, come back. I'm going to try to put up a new book thing once a week, and we'll just talk about books and booze. So anyways, for myself, Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea, and Flying Fish, Oktoberfish. Take it easy, guys.